Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Steltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last couple of years, I've been featuring each Fijian King's daughter and getting to know their stories a little bit better. There are over 700 of them. So we've come a long way. We're on episode 198, if you can believe it. We still have a long way to go. But before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. Subscribe, like, and notify. All of those help my logarithms and all that good stuff. The next three are ways to really help the channel grow. We have Coffee, which is another platform, Patreon, which is a monthly subscription, and then we also have Super Thanks that is right there on your dashboard. So thank you to all of you who have supported me thus far. Really, really appreciate all your comments and all your support. Let's get started and get to know our fille du roi of this episode. So today's episode is 198, Denise Colin, and she is brought to you by a viewer request. I do not have her in my files. So let's get to know Denise a little bit better. So Denise was born in 1651 in Gagne-le-Sec in France, in the region of France known as the Hauts-de-France. If you could look at the map on the upper left, you'll see how high it's really the upper France. And then her département is Oise, and it is on the actual bottom, so it's actually touching very close to Île-de-France. So she's actually closer to Paris. The plan du village, I found this on the internet. I couldn't believe it. It's from 1660, which unbelievable that I found that. So that is what the village looked like at that time. And then of course I love to find the road signs because that tells us, okay, this is what it looks like now if you walk, driving in. And there are about 2,000 people that live there right now. The Church of Saint Pierre Saint Paul that you see on the bottom left is it's officially from 1574, but the bell tower itself can be dated as far back as the 12th or 13th century. Now, her parents' names were Jacques Collet and Nicole Fontaine. So let's get to see how she comes to New France. So we do not know if her parents were alive or had passed away, but we do know that on September 3rd, 1673, she arrived in New France aboard the ship L'Espérance, which actually means the hope. So she had hope. She had hope, and she was actually on that last ship carrying Les Filles du Roi. So really and truly, she almost missed the boat, but got on it. So thankfully for her descendants. Let's see who she selected to be her groom. His name was Roche Touet, and he was born about 1643 in the commune of Saint-Martin-le-Gaillard, which is found in the Normandy region of France and is part of the Seine-Maritime Département. The Church of Notre Dame that he would have been baptized comes from the 13th century. There are over just under 300 people as of the last census, and you can see how beautiful and picturesque this little town is. So on November 17th, 1673, Roche and Denise were married at Boucherville, and we do have a marriage record. So the family would settle at Repentigny, which itself had only been founded a few years before in 1670 by Jean-Baptiste Legardeur, son of the Seigneur Pierre Legardeur. This town really had a slow start, and by 1677, there were only 30 inhabitants. And I've actually put in a link to the town's website, which lists the pioneer families. And guess what? Roche and Denise are there. And really and truly, it took centuries for Repentigny to emerge. It was only in 2002 when it was merged with the city of Le Gardeur on June 1st, 2002, that the city's area doubled in size and the population grew by 70%. So on the upper left, I've included kind of a map of where Repentigny is in relationship to Montreal. And then we have a beautiful view of the city here on the upper right. We have their church. And then we also have an aerial view of the village. So they would go on to have 8 children. Jean-Baptiste would marry Marie Cadieux and would have 6 children, all of whom would make it. Marie's mother was Marie Valade, who we profiled in episode 118. Germain married Marie Madeleine Baudouin and had 8 children, all of whom made it. Françoise married Pierre Boya and had 1 child, who made it before her early death at 38. Robert would pass away at the age of 1. Jeanne would marry Thomas Neveu and have 3 children, all of whom made it. Roche would marry Madeleine Février and have 6 children, all of whom made it. Louis would pass away at the age of 8 years old. Madeleine would marry Charles Pitelier and have 2 children, both of whom made it. Roche would pass away very, very early, sometime between 1690 and 1692. We do not have a death record. So the new groom that she selected, his name was Antoine Gloria de Desroches, and he was born in 1664 in Montagnag, Charente. His parents were Pierre Gloria and Catherine Brunel. The small town that he comes from has about 712 people living there now. It is part of the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region of France, and it can be part of the département of Charente. The Château de Montignac dates from the 11th century. That is that picture on the upper right. And then the church of the Église Saint-Étienne obviously dates from the 12th and 13th century. So Saint-Étienne is also Église Saint Stephen. Sometimes you'll see Saint-Étienne. Étienne is the French word, or can be translated as Stephen. So in 1694, we have the marriage between Denise and Antoine, and that is our confirmation that Roche had passed away prior to this time. They are married in Repentigny. And they would go on to have 2 children together. The first, Marie-Josette, would marry Jean-Baptiste Baudouin and have 7 children, all of whom would make it. Antoine would marry Charlotte Auger and have 3 children, all of whom would make it. We don't have any death record for Denise, but the last recording of her presence is at her son Roche's wedding in 1715. This would put her at about 64 years of age. Antoine himself would die at the age of 63 in 1727. And Denise is further profiled in Les Filles du Roi, which is the pioneers for the Seigneurie de Repentigny. I've included the Amazon listing and also the publishing houses listing as well for you to have a look. I own this book. I was given the gift. This was part of my Christmas gift from my best friend. So a fabulous read, very, very detailed. I would encourage you to obtain this book. I know it's in French, but we can, make the dates and all of that are part of that, and very easy read. Always, I love to give you the research, further research. Généalogie Québec, I cannot stress enough how much that is a part of my research. I would encourage, if you subscribe to anything or focus on Quebec genealogy, you must have Généalogie Québec as part of your, kind of toolbox. And then we have the Filles du Roi Descendants. We have Wikitree, which is a free website. Nos Origines, also a free site. Quebec Genealogical E-Society does have a payment, but it's very minimal for the year. And La Société des Filles du Roi, you can absolutely go on the website and use some of the resources. If you are a paying member, I think it's all of $20 a year, you would be able to access everything. And if you are a direct descendant of a Fille du Roi or a soldier, a Carignan soldier, you can subscribe and get your information put into the database, and they'll print out a beautiful certificate for you once we've proven your lineage. And then we have the Société d'Histoire des Filles du Roi, another website for you to have a look at. With this, we end episode 198 of Denise Colin. We know that she was a woman who was strong and vibrant. She was not afraid to take chances. She got that last ticket on that last boat to New France in 1673, climbed aboard and never looked back. And then she was further a pioneer of Repentigny with her first husband. Upon his death, she remarried and restarted her family, and lived a fairly long life. Given we don't know exactly when she passed, but we know that she was at least 60 or so, 68, I think. And so that is a remarkable feat in and of itself. And then by 1729, she would have 72 descendants. Please let me know if you descend from the first husband, Roche, or from the second husband, Antoine. I always like to know that information just to see where it comes from. And we are so grateful that she came to our shores and was able to be one of those pioneers, strong and resilient. And we are ever grateful that she is part of the history of New France. So before I say au revoir, I want to make sure to thank my patrons and supporters for their support and their encouragement. I truly, truly appreciate you. So until I see you on episode 199, I bid you adieu and au revoir.